How we select our bull? Normally, this is the bull evaluation procedure, and this table it is given by Society of Cryogenology, and these values are applicable for their breed. For our breeds, we don't have a value as yet of now based on the large scale. Yes, we do have some recommendations, but they are based on the handful number of animals, not a big issue. So forget about. So we take the scrotal circumferences, normal spermatozoa 70%, and sperm motility more than 30%. Then we classify him as a good breeder. That's all. So this is the initial BSE selection. After that, what we do is we induct the particular male into the semen station, and we go for a collection of some 7 ejaculates, and of which 5 qualifies. Then we select the particular motility, viability, concentration, acrosomal integrity using GEMSA, membrane integrity, abnormality. So these are all the parameters that we use for selection of bull. These parameters can be of helpful when there is a clear-cut cases of infertility. What are those clear-cut cases? There is a number of things which I have listed in the left side. Starts from aspermia, hyperspermia, hypospermia, pyospermia, hematospermia, azoospermia, oligozoospermia, polyzoospermia, asthenozoospermia, terato, necro, oligoasthenoteratosis. All these things are defined cases of infertility, both in case of human being as well as in case of animals. Basic semen analysis, what we are doing, all these things can be identified using that particular parameter. But what we want is the bull which is selected after crossing all these BS evaluation yields a poor conception rate. But how? Why? And here the answer is 60% of the male infertility patients have normal spermiogram. This applies to both human as well as bull again. So the spermogram which were assessed by the breeding soundness evaluation that we are doing, that is not able to predict the infertility or fertility of the particular male. And ultimately, because of this, where we end up, you see, I have given 2 situations here. The right side bottom, that figure is of our own farm. I am talking about NDRI, Karnal. Organized farm, we had 22 bulls. See, the conception rate ranges from 20 to 45 or 50. And the left upper, that is the field condition of 50 bulls, I got from some other livestock development board, where they are doing intensively progeny testing, and a lot of field conception rate is going on. If you see again in the field conditions, it starts from 27 to 46 or 45. So that's how, and see how much population is above average and how much population is below average. If we consider this as an average, the peak, and there are enough or considerable or even more number of the bulls that are below average. So that is important now. So why we are not able to identify these? The missing links, I will not explain much because this itself can be explained for 10-15 minutes, but I don't want to do it. What we need is a perfect test, a combination of tests to predict full fertility, but we are not able to do so because representative samples, that is an issue we don't have. Second important thing is estimation of more relevant parameters. More relevant parameter. We understand that these are all the things. Yes, sperm is motile and it is going to be get into the female reproductive tract and go and make a love with the oocyte and fertilize her. No, it's not so. There are many other inherent parameters of the spermatozoa which we are not looking into and which often we forget to look into. And third one is use of proper tools of analysis. Even the technique of evaluation of the semen. So if we make these 2 as a perfect, then we may get some of the lists. That's what I'm going to see. What they say in 1993, remember 25 years before. Unfortunately, although researchers and clinicians have tried for nearly a century to develop techniques to accurately predict the fertility of a semen sample, the goal has not been achieved. That's what, even till today, this sentence is applicable. And SAC and other persons, they have given a lot of these variations why we are not able to predict the bull fertility properly. And these are all some factors affecting. Because of the time constraint, I'll move over it. So why fertility prediction is less accurate ultimately? First and foremost thing is routine spermiogram evaluations are suitable to identify clear-cut cases, as I told you earlier, from aspermia to oligoasthenozoospermia, but not able to prognose the levels of fertility. Second, routine semen evaluation simply evaluate the basic variables of sperm appearance and viability, but cannot disclose subjacent structural and functional details. The third one is RSA do not assess what genomic message that spermatozoa carries, whether it is good or bad. We don't differentiate. And the fourth one is very important, last but not the least, Most routine semen evaluation includes small, very meager subsamples, small subsamples of a large heterogeneous number of spermatozoa in the ejaculate. So that's how. And this implies that the results obtained have an inherent large variability, thus calling for an analysis for large sperm numbers. So what to be assessed? Having said yes, semen evaluation do not predict fertility. So what to do? So these are all some of the very important parameters a spermatozoa should have for acquiring the fertilizing ability or to be able to fertilize the oocyte. Ubiquitination, you know very well, it indicates the maturity of the spermatozoa. Anti-sperm antibody, I will come up a little later, but this was an issue in case of human being mainly. But now in animal science, it has taken a good pace. A lot of studies are coming in anti-sperm antibody and its implications on the fertility, especially sperm oviduct binding as well as sperm zona binding. And then membrane scrambling. This is the initial stage of capacitation or initial stage of cryogenic, you can say. Mitochondrial membrane potential, this is very much essential for the sperm to maintain the motility. Not only the normal motility, but once the sperm is detached from the oviduct epithelium, he has to have a hyperactivated motility, and for that, this is very important. Membrane intactness. Without this membrane intactness, the female will not allow the spermatozoa to pass into the even cervical mucus if it is natural cervix, or do not establish sperm oviduct reservoir. She will not accept a membrane compromised spermatozoa to be able to bound or bind with the oviductal epithelium. Apoptosis, DNA integrity, protein deficiency, free thiol, all these things qualifies the ability of the quality of the DNA into the spermatozoa. Intracellular calcium, that is very much important because from 1990 onwards, this research is going on. And having the high intracellular calcium is not preferable for a particular spermatozoa. Then ROS, in human being, lot of research. Now a very recent technique and a machine is also, patented machine also come to quantify the ROS. That much is the importance in case of ROS, in case of human being, but less importance as of now in case of animal cells. Tyrosine phosphorylation, I always say, this is the only way by which a poor spermatozoa who cannot synthesize a protein can modulate its function. So tyrosine phosphorylation assessment in terms of capacitation as well as cryocapacitation is very important. Lipid peroxidation, especially those animals which are having high PUFA. And capacitation, I mean to say the ability of the spermatozoa to get capacitated upon exposure to the female reproductive tract, not before that, not talk about premature capacitation. And acrosome reaction once it gets capacitated. I have given a well-established some of the parameters of the spermatozoa. Besides this, many other things are there. So why I'm telling all these things is, a lot of studies convincingly have shown that yes, identify those subpopulation. No two spermatozoa in a given ejaculate are similar, but the bulls tend to have similar cohorts over a period of time. The last slide of my presentation will say about that, how these population varies among the breed or bull or other things. But there are subpopulations, 3 to 4 subpopulations per se. Even if you take the minute characteristics, it may be 20 subpopulations in a given ejaculate. If we identify the subpopulation of the desired character in a given ejaculate, we can forecast with a fair accuracy about the fertility. That's what this particular slide says.